I
was
I did
telling,
the
I was
did the
telling Ann
OJ
she would
tour
have
of
to
Hertz
be
Airport.
I was telling Ann she'd have to co-host. Hey, Fish, guess what? We're already live, and I'm setting up my tripod here. Here we go.
And you're
Uh,
buffering like crazy. I'm losing you, buddy. What'd you
are
just
you
do?
really?
Yeah.
Are you really? Hang on. Let me turn this off then.
This is gonna be a fun show. We already started now with a bang.
Oh, okay. Well, hang on. Let me see if that's it. Hopefully that's better.
Now you're
That
riding
better?
it, but go start, go.
All right, here we go. Hi, everybody. We are live. Our special guest is Ann Ligori, TV and radio sports host. She's got a ton of interviews, including one with the late John Madden that we're going to hear about. Also on the grind, we try to find the drama in the final week of the NFL and hope the NCAA will find some too. You'll hear our picks from the final week, and we have some betting picks with the Daily Fish Hardline. Our man, John Hardison, is with us. And the Strange Drama Sunday with Antonio Brown makes us talk about the problem of mental illness in sports and throughout the world. Now, who should listen to that? Our schmuck of the week, that's who. And who's got the swag trades in one stick shift for another. What is that? Does that make sense? Fish will explain, don't worry. And something fishy looks at Star Treks. And we ask, has track and field been run out of sports? If so, why? Hi, everybody. Welcome to Daily Fish. John Daly here with Eric Snyder, a.k.a. Fish. We're coast to coast coming to you from Las Vegas and Myrtle Beach. We talk sports, entertainment, and everything in between that other shows just won't touch. Fish, we got another good one tonight. Hopefully you're hearing me and seeing me okay.
You're doing good. I love it. We'll get inside information, everybody. Every morning I walk my dog, John walks his dog, and we converse. And every morning John tells me there's going to be an insurrection and a civil war, and the Chinese are going to hack all our computers, and we're going to die this year. But he guarantees us that no matter what happens, a nuclear bomb or biological warfare, Daily Fish will continue. So let's roll.
Absolutely. All right. It's time for the Daily Grind. Here's what we're grinding on first. The Antonio Brown Fiasco Sunday got us thinking what happened then is really part of a bigger mental illness problem that we've seen. And we've seen it with tennis star Naomi Osaka, Olympian gymnast Simone Biles. They both courageously fought it publicly. And some of them, of course, they have to deal with stardom and also public exposure, but it's not just athletes. Look at what we all face, as Fisher's just saying, COVID, global warming, and a bipolar society. So I think it's good that athletes are helping us get the word out here. Fish, I think this is bigger than a lot of us think. Give me your thoughts.
Well, we all deal with mental illness. I have it. You probably have it. We all deal with situations and stress in our lives. And they're people just like we are. I hate to use cliches, but they put their pants on just like we do. And I don't know if Antonio Brown actually has mental illness or not. He's a hothead. He's a great player. And I guarantee you, if Tampa Bay cuts him, someone will pick him up. Okay, I guarantee that. That's breaking news that I have some inside sources. That being said, I mean, you have to have some compassion and empathy for anyone. I have members of my family that have serious mental illness, and I have a brother that's on 26 medications. 26. So I have empathy. I have compassion. I think we all should have some stuff. I do have some breaking news on Antonio Brown. I got some shots of him at the Jet game. I don't know if you saw this one, but this is him when he's walking off the field. That was, just a little bit.
Wait a minute. Well, you're supposed to have empathy.
I do have empathy. Look at him. Look at him. He's saying that. And then there was rumors he couldn't get a ride home. So here's him trying to get in the Bucs plane. This is unbelievable. So at least there's a little humor to the side of the guy.
Yeah. Great empathy. Very good. Okay. Hey, I do want to talk about kudos to the NFL Network. Because if you watch the NFL Network, they're airing a ton of public awareness spots on what they call awkward moments, and also don't be afraid to ask a friend if everything is all right if you suspect they're having problems. So let me give kudos out to the NFL Network. I think they're doing a great job, and I think they're aware of what's happening here. We're also going to touch on this again with our schmuck of the week, so stay tuned for that. All right, next on the grind, finally, some competitive bowl games. The Rose Bowl between Ohio State and Utah, and a classic Fiesta Bowl between Notre Dame and Oklahoma State. Both were very watchable, even though they had no bearing on the national championship. So, Fish, do you think the championship game between Georgia and Alabama will avoid being a sleeper?
I hope so. I mean, these two teams are very familiar with each other. I was shocked at the way Alabama handled Georgia in the SEC championship, but a lot of bowl games stunk. And I think, John Hardison, you're in the queue right now. Nod your head. I think the Pac-12 was over. I don't think one Pac-12 team won. And I always thought it was a crappy conference.
That too.
Yeah, it's a crazy. Yeah, they'd probably be better in concert if they had a band than they would be playing football. I hope so. I really hope so. I mean, look, it's going to be huge ratings. I know I never say that word, but I think it's going to be very competitive.
Okay, I agree with you. Okay, let's do our picks. Fish, I'm going to go Georgia. I think it will be close, like you're saying, but I like the return of Georgia's defense. It was not there in the last Alabama game, but I think it's there. So tell me, who are you picking?
The one thing I like about Georgia, I love the name of their quarterback, Stetson Bennett. He sounds like a future senator or president of the United States. But I talked to Hardison, our main guy that does all our, he's a guru in picking sport. I don't bet against Nick Saban in big games. So I'm going with Alabama.
Okay. Speaking of lack of drama, the NFL cleared up a lot of it last week. Basically, coming up in week 18, the 49ers are in if they beat the Rams. But if the 49ers lose, then the Saints need to beat the Falcons to grab the 7th seed in the NFC. In the AFC, it's simpler. The Sunday night matchup between the Chargers and the Raiders will determine the final playoff berth in the AFC. And Fish, you will be there. But again, the Raiders have given you more drama on the field and off the field. Oh, my God.
Yeah, what a year they've had. It's been, you couldn't, the screenwriters, Aaron Sorkin's waiting in the background to say, okay, I'll take this on. But let me show you what stood out to you and me. This shows you this guy could be our swag also. Look what happened at FedEx Field at the end of the Philadelphia Eagle and Washington football team game this past weekend.
Oh, wow. That was great.
I am now the biggest Jalen Hurts fan on the planet. The rail falls. These people fall 4 to 6 feet, and some got injured, but I guess out of the adrenaline, he sits there, helps them up, and takes pictures of them. He felt bad for him. Some guys, maybe Aaron Rodgers, just walk in the locker room and laugh his ass off, but that to me stood out more than any of the play. And again, the drama of the NFL this weekend, I think we'll go through it. But I think if the 49ers lose and the Saints win, they're in. And there's also seedings between the Rams. Green Bay now, no matter what, has an easy path to the Super Bowl because it goes through Lambeau Field. Yeah. The AFC, you called it. You called it, buddy. You're hot the last 5 weeks you're on fire. You said the Titans are going to the Super Bowl in one of our previous episodes. And you know what? If they win, they lock up the top seed. So the big drama is in Allegiant Stadium this weekend, this Sunday. I'll be there. I'll report in on it. The Raiders and the Chargers, and in the most dramatic, wackiest season in Raider history, they have a chance to put a nice positive explanation point on it.
I agree. Oh, looking forward to that. All right. So let's give folks our picks of games that don't mean anything. Now, Fish, this is difficult, right? I mean, how do you pick these games?
Because we can't pick any games that mean anything other than you. I go 1-5, you go 5-1. The game we always try to pick games that we thought were relevant. Patriots against the Titans, Rams against the Cardinals. Now we're going with the games that mean nothing. So you go first.
All right, here we go. First one, Saints at the Falcons. You go first, Fish.
Wow, actually the Saints have a minute chance of getting in. No, they don't. They need the 49ers, but I'm going to go with the Saints.
All right, I'm going to be contrary. I'm going to go Falcons. All right, Bears at the Vikings. Fish, I'm going to go Bears. Bears are hot now. You?
Well, the Bears are hot. They beat a Seattle team that's reeling. The Giants have the second worst offense in the history of the NFL this year. You're a Giants fan deep down. It's embarrassing. I feel bad for a lot of our Giants. We have a lot of Giant fans that watch this show, and my heart, my empathy goes out to them. I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think Mike Zimmer's on the hot seat. I think Kirk Cousins comes back and the Vikings win.
Okay. All right, Fish. Washington football team, they're at the Giants. Go for it.
The Washington football team. When the Canton Bulldogs have the 1936 how many years is that? Well, you were born then, John. But
yes, I was actually one of their cheerleaders. So
Washington.
All right, I'm going right with you too. Washington football team, the Giants, as you said, to me, they're beyond horrible. All right, the Hard Line with John Hardison is coming up in a few minutes with some real picks. And finally on the grind, is track and field dead? I mean, track and field was a big TV staple years ago. No more. It's like looking for merchandise on local store shelves. Fish, you're still pole vaulting and javelin throwing, though, right?
I am, and it brings it to my youth. And maybe John Hardison is too young to remember. But do you remember, John, where you lived? You grew up in Providence. Where I grew up in LA, they always showed the Pac-12 championships from Ducky Drake Stadium in UCLA.
Yep.
Huge,
Absolutely.
huge viewership. I used to go to it. It was great to watch all the sprints and the hurdles and then the marathon. Even in that, you get 4 hours. You were there. The javelin, the shot put. It went away. It's kind of died out. You can't even find it on the Fox Sports 1s, the Fox Sports 2. I look for it streaming. Can someone email us or give me a comment or check in with us and let us know where we can find track and field? Because other than the Olympics, it's a shame it went away. What do you think, John?
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you think it's gone away? I got a couple of different ideas, but why do you think?
No one's watching. Anything goes away that no one watches, okay? Mm-hmm. But you think, I mean, look, we're trying to save baseball, you and I, and really no one's watching. But it's regional enough that people in New York are going to watch Yankees, Boston, that people in LA is going to watch the Dodgers, people in Boston, the Red Sox, and it's still going to have its allure. Track and field went away because I think no one watched it. There was no athletes like a Bruce Jenner. Maybe if you watched it and every athlete you knew that was great was going to become a transgender, that would add a little more drama into it, you know. But what's your take? I have no idea.
I think there's a couple of things. One is that, really you're going to be watching it through high school and college play. And at the same time, people are going to be watching college football. I mean, people don't watch college baseball anymore. They do watch college basketball. So I think it might have to do with that. It's competing too much with especially football. I think there's so much gaming going on now that a lot of people's attention is going there. Malcolm Gladwell, great writer, read a number of his books, has some great suggestions. He says he doesn't think track and field does a good job of promoting itself. And he also suggested this. He said that the fans should be allowed on the infield to especially see how fast the runners are. It's kind of like, we talk about hockey. You go to a hockey game live and you have a better appreciation of how cool it is up close. So he had those suggestions, and he's kind of saying what you're saying is that people just aren't watching it, that there's other things, but here's something that they haven't done enough to maybe get more people watching. So hopefully folks will write us and give us some suggestions on that. Okay. And that is the Daily Grind. All right, folks, questions or comments during the live show, use the chat box here or email us at dailyfish1, the number 1, at gmail.com. You can post to Facebook at daily.fish.5. Better yet, record yourself. Do it short, tight, and horizontal. Do it on your smartphone. Send it to dailyfish1 at gmail.com. All right, binge blockbusters and books. It's time for that. And we changed the title, Fish, just to cover more entertainment venues for everybody. So, Fish, what are you binging?
Well, the blockbusters, because I watched the movie on Amazon Prime. I was very interested in an Aaron Sorkin piece called Being the Ricardos about Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz Jr. and their roles as the Ricardos. It was absolutely brilliant. It was very cerebral, and you never knew that Desi Arnaz was this genius in production and being a businessman, and how unbelievable Lucille Ball was in creativity, and how they had to work their marriage through all that. And then the cantankerous relationship they had with William Frawley played Fred Mertz, and then Vivian Vance played Ethel Mertz. But in the movie, Nina Ariande was phenomenal as the Mertz character, and J.K. Simmons, who I loved in Whiplash, played Mertz. It was unbelievable. Look, Sorkin's a dialogue guy, and it goes 2 hours and 14 minutes, and I was like this watching it. It was unbelievable.
I can't wait to see it. I've heard a lot of good reviews, just exactly what you're saying right there. All right. I'm going to go books on this one, Fish. The book is called Whale Hunt in the Desert by Deke Castleman. It is about famed casino host and whale hunter Steve Sear. It is a great behind-the-scenes look at how casinos get big-time gamblers into their house. Again, the book is called Whale Hunt in the Desert. And Fish, we may actually have Steve Sear on the show sometime soon. So that's another reason I'm reading the book, and it's phenomenal. If you want to get behind the scenes of Vegas, it's really worth it. That's for sure. And that is binge blockbusters and books. All right, now it's time for something fishy. What do you have, Fish?
I'm fishy on this. My wife's addicted to this periodical. It's called People Magazine. I started reading this thing. It's called the Star Treks, right? And these are the Star Treks from this week, all right? These are celebrities. This is Liev Schreiber and his girlfriend, Taylor Neeson. And look at the expression on their faces. He's probably saying to himself, why the hell did I do the Ray Donovan movie? Because all I do is walk around drunk and I'm a great actor and say the word sure 1,000 times and beat up people with baseball bats. They look excited, right? Look how excited Cardi B and Offset look courtside Atlanta Hawks game. Get the goddamn camera out of our face. This is in the recent Star Trek. And then this is the one thing they always do, John, that pisses me off. They always show someone drinking a Starbucks. This is Selma Blair. If she saw the way she looked in this picture with hair that she like, that was like kind of a blow dryer, it's crazy. We don't care. So I thought about this. Okay, I thought about maybe we do with Daily Fish our own Star Treks. All right, why not?
I like it.
Well, here we go. Here's going to be our selection. This is the women. Now, John Daly owns, which is called the Henderson Poontangs. This is his women's lingerie football team that John owns. I'm the equipment and general manager, and I, of course, designed all that stuff. So that's one great thing that we're going to have on there. And look at this. We just got great news listen to this. We just got breaking news from Dana White from the UFC that these three idiots, and I hate politics, and look, these are all idiots right here. So I'm not, these guys are going to be in a steel cage match, all right? And Joe Watts, who's a sports director over at the Westgate Casino, had Trump. Listen to this. Trump was minus 200. And then it went to minus 500 because he didn't want to do it. He wanted to give it to Jared Kushner because Trump didn't want his hair messed up. Okay. Obama was a heavy favorite in the beginning, but then he backed out and gave it to his wife, Michelle, because she has a bigger penis and balls than he has. And then Biden, listen to this. Biden actually moved up on the boards, but when he found out, John, that there was a art card special 2-for-1 at any First cafeteria, and you get a tapioca pudding for 2, he was out. So that's one of our, okay. Now, here's the greatest thing we could do for our Star Treks. They found out Lionsgate and John Hyatt Productions are going to do a movie called The Making of Daily Fish. And these are the guys right here that are auditioning to be John. Watch this.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Those are the guys auditioning for John, and look at the guys that are auditioning for Fish. These are our Star Trek. Look at that. That's fantastic. You know, I would love to see this good-looking African-American kid play me. That would be great because I got a lot of brother in me. Ask Hardison. So that's our Daily Fish Star Trek. I'm pissed off. I'm fishy about the ones in People Magazine. I like the ones that Daily Fish are doing. What do you think there, Daily?
I think we should do that. Definitely. Yeah. And I, you know what? And I love the lineup for you because I think that might be the lineup that they have at the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department tonight too.
Yeah.
So
look at your lineup. Wow.
Yeah. Who would accuse them of anything? Come on.
Is that you? Is that when you dated Valerie Stoughton, the one in the middle? Look at that tongue going left and right. My God. You're a stud, buddy. Carry on.
Right back at you, big boy. All righty. And that is something fishy. All right. Still ahead. Our schmuck of the week, along with Who's Got the Swag, before we go to our special guest TV and radio sports host, Ann Ligori. Time now for the Daily Fish Hardline. Hopefully he's not laughing too hard. Joining us is John Hardison from the podcast, The Cost of Winning, focusing on fantasy sports and sports betting. Welcome back, Hardline. Can you believe I have to put up with this?
You know it's hard. I just tell Fish, shit, don't call me at 3 a.m. Something you end up at the Metro.
Hey, wait a minute. Hardline's in the movie too. Look what they got to play him.
Ah, perfect.
Oh gosh.
All right. Let's get to some of the serious stuff here. All right, Hardline. Rams are home and 4-point favorites over the 49ers. We talked about this before. What is the Hardline call?
You know what? I like the Rams in this situation. I like a money line. I don't trust the 4 points. They've been kind of shaky the last couple of weeks. They win games. Fish and I go back and forth with this every Sunday. They win games, but Matt Stafford has just been throwing pick after pick the last couple of games. It's been kind of questionable, just watching them. I have a lot of faith in Matt. They just find ways to grind out wins, but I'm not taking them. I'll take them on the money line. Plus, they have to win this in order to get that NFC Championship crown and possibly the 2 seed because they have the tiebreaker over the Bucs. So I'm going Rams.
God, the Cardinals came out and showed to me against Dallas what they could really be when Kyler Murray's playing great. And what are they? They're 6.5-point favorites over the Seahawks. Who do you like?
You know what? I actually like the Seahawks in this game, especially plus 6.5. The Seahawks played them extremely tough. Most years they split. This is the last game possibly with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson playing together. It's
Sure.
definitely going to be a memorable game. And what a great way to just stick it to the Cardinals, your division rival, by just getting this win and screwing them out of an NFC championship crown. So everything's built for the Seahawks to ride off into the sunset on this one. I like the Seahawks.
All right, plus 6.5. Good on that. Okay, cool. On Saturday, the Chiefs are 10-point favorites in Denver. Who are you picking in this one?
So you know what? I'm going to take the Chiefs, but I'm going to take a money line on this. I don't necessarily like the points because of the weather that could possibly be coming through. With the Broncos, they're probably going to have to rely heavily on the run. The Chiefs, but the Chiefs need this win. They needed to get that first round #1 seed, possibly, especially if the Titans do lose this weekend. And they're playing Drew Lock. I mean, this is a give me. You gotta really think this is the best case scenario for them to possibly get that #1 seed and everything go through Arrowhead.
You live here. We're good friends. You've seen how this whole town is going bonkers over this game against the Chargers and the Raiders. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. The Chargers are a 2.5 point favorite. I saw 4.5 at the Westgate. Any love for the Raiders here at all?
Like Al said, they just got to win, baby. They just got to win. The Raiders during this time, they've been grinding it out similar to the Rams the last few weeks. Everything has been a field goal, but if they're going to win this game, Fish, they have to score points. Daniel Carlson cannot be their #1 scoring option, especially going into this game. The last time they played the Chargers, it wasn't very great, especially on that Monday night game, but they're at home. The momentum's on their side. They win and they're in. That's what it comes down to. Win and you're in. This is what you've been building all year for, especially with everything that's happened with Madden, everything that's happened with Gruden this year, everything that's happened with Hobbs and the other guys. What a great way to cap off the season by just making it into the playoffs. So, I like the over in this game, but I got to go with the Raiders. I'm going with the Raiders home team.
Okay, cool. Another different game. Colts are on the road in Jacksonville. They're 15-point favorites over the Jags. How do you handle this one?
The same way that Urban Meyer handled that girl in the bar. You take control of the situation early. But the Colts, they got to win to get in. I like a money line. No one's talking about, and this is the hardest thing. When we talk about great running backs in this game, Emmitt Smith, O.J. Simpson, Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders, we look at their seasons, and the seasons that they put up a lot of times have them in MVP talks. I don't understand how Jonathan Taylor is not in the discussion of being a top 2 option this season for being MVP. I mean, he is killing it at running back this season. And you look at, he had Carson Wentz behind him, Carson Wentz next to him in the backfield. A lot of people had a lot of questions about him. And, congratulations, a shout out to the Colts on taking that risk on Carson Wentz, because now the Eagles, because of how much Carson Wentz has played and how well he's played this season, now get an extra first-round pick, and no one's talking about that.
It's true. It's a good point.
All right, here we go. There's a game tonight. No one cares. LSU and Kansas State playing the Texas Bowl. When this is over, you can watch that on ESPN. But the big one is Monday. Alabama and Georgia. I don't believe Georgia's the 3-point favorite. Who do you like?
I've been telling you this for a while now. I think it's Georgia, Alabama too. I like Kirby Smart. I think he's an incredible head coach. If he was playing anyone else, I probably would go with Georgia. But it's hard to bet against Nick Saban. I mean, this man's got more rings than Michael Jordan at this point. He's killing it. He's got first-round picks left and right. He's got the reigning Heisman Trophy candidate, probably about 6 guys that are going in the first and second round.
Sure.
It's hard to bet against Saban. I got to go Alabama. Roll Tide. You can't get any better than Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
You guys going for it? I still got Georgia. All right. And that is the Daily Fish Hardline with John Hardison. He is here on Daily Fish each week. Plus, you can find his Cost of Winning podcast on Spotify, Google, and Apple podcast as well. Hardline, thanks a lot. We'll see you next week, buddy.
See you guys next week. You guys take care.
Thanks.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. Daily Fish Live. Daily Fish is live on Facebook Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We air on DB&A television on Roku, Amazon Fire, and soon Apple TV, plus the Myrtle Beach Golf Channel. We stream 24/7 on the DB&A television website. Follow us and like us on Facebook at daily.fish.5 and subscribe to Daily Fish Podcast on YouTube. All right, now it's time for our Schmuck of the Week. Who's been schmucky this week, Fish? I think it's somebody Hardison just mentioned.
I talked about this guy because being in the bar business, this guy's one of the greatest tippers you ever want. He walks in your bar. You don't want this guy walking in with a knife, but you want him tipping you. But this is what this This is O.J. Simpson, all right? And he is calling Antonio Brown's behavior inexcusable. You never do that. The problem I have is why he's a schmuck is he's willing to sit down with the guy and counsel him on how to live your life and how to be a proper person. You know what, OJ? Stay in bars, do what you got to do. I don't think you have any license to talk to anybody how to live their life.
There you go. Maybe we'll get him on the show. All right.
Sure.
And now let's go to who's got the swag. Who are we toasting this week, Fish?
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of people. We could have done Jalen Hurts for what he did. That was so cool that he helped those people.
I agree.
You know, that with that. But this is Renee Gracie. Okay. Now, she, down under, no pun intended, she's
Australia.
Absolutely. She's a race car driver. And it was so toxic because it was so chauvinistic and misogynist, such harassment that she went back into porn. And she said, basically, he goes, I could be a driver down under or I can make money going down under. So I give her credit. I like that line. And you know what? Leave her alone. If you're going to be a race car driver, I mean, you know, the only kind of crap Danica Patrick took because she's gorgeous. I give her crap for dating Aaron Rodgers, but leave these girls alone. They're doing something hard. It's hard to do what they did. You know, at least she has a backup plan. Look at that, huh? Wow.
She's an attractive woman, that's for sure. Okay, and now
don't stutter, John.
What's that?
Don't stutter.
I don't want to get myself in trouble. And now we toast her with our drink of the week. What are we sipping this week, Fish?
Well, I've got. You know what? You take it. You know what I have in here? I'll tell you what I have in here. This is an Irish coffee. There's Jameson, Bailey's, and coffee. It's cold as hell. I'm walking my dog in Vegas. It's 25 degrees here in Las Vegas. We're not used to that, okay? And with the wind chill is 17. I'm the only idiot on the planet walking their dog in this. I love my dog so much. What do you got?
You know what? And obviously we're doing it something hot for our Who's Got the Swag. I've actually got hot apple cider with a little bit of rum in it, and it's just a great drink to have. We're the same thing here. We're in the Myrtle Beach area. I mean, it's in the 30s today. I mean, it was brutal. So I know exactly where you're coming from. So here's to you, and here's to our swag.
And here's the Hardison. Hardison, if you're still looking, I might have an extra ticket to the Raider game. Not if you want to go.
That's true.
You can't hear me, schmuck.
All right. Our drink of the week, the Daily Fish Drink of the Week, is sponsored by Shucks Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks in 2 locations. Head to Shucks Tavern on North Durango on the northwest side of town, where fish is overnight. Say Daily Fish Podcast, you get a free drink. Do it the next day, a free appetizer. That's Shucks Tavern. Check out Shucks Tavern on Facebook. All right, we're just getting started. Up next, we're going to gab with radio and TV sports host Ann Ligori. But first, let's tell you about MedSonics. If you're heading to Vegas, first place to stop is MedSonics. The sound wave technology relieves pain, inflammation, and even jet lag. It is non-invasive. You sit there for 25 minutes and relax. The technology will soon be all over the country. Go to medsonics.com, spelled MEDSONIX.com. Al is the owner inventor. Tell him Daily Fish sent you. All right, let's bring on our special guest. Ann Ligori is a trailblazing sports radio and TV talk show host, golf correspondent covering countless majors in golf and tennis. She is also an author. She's been on WFAN New York. She's been on the Golf Channel. She's also the executive producer of the Sports Interview series that you can watch at sportsinterview.com. And interview is spelled INNERVIU. And she has her own charity golf classic coming up in the Hamptons. And there's just so much. But hey, great having you on Daily Fish. It's great to see you.
Great to come on with you guys, and a tough act to follow the porn star with the tattoos up and down her legs down under. That was quite the segment, guys. Preceding me. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. How do you interview that? How do you go if you're doing your radio show and you say, wait a minute, you were a race car driver and you decided to do your backup job, which is how do you have that? Do you have callers call in and see if they want to? How do you handle that interview with her?
Well, I probably would not have her on my show, but I get to pick my guests, Fish. But actually, no, I'm sure she has a great story. I'm being seriously, maybe I would have her on. And yeah, I would take calls for her. And everybody has a story. Everybody has a compelling story. And everybody has had to overcome many challenges to achieve success, right? That's the common denominator with all these people. You were talking about Antonio Brown, and I know you're defending Antonio Brown based on what I was hearing you say earlier in the show, but you gotta look at this guy's track record. And yeah, there's a lot of athletes. There's so many people who have mental health issues, right? And I feel everybody deserves a second shot, right? But Antonio Brown has had like a number of chances. And, you talk to the guys when he played for the Steelers and they say he showed up late for practices. Sometimes he didn't even go to practices. He clashed with, Ben Roethlisberger and with, some of his other teammates. And then he had the sexual assault allegations and the misconduct. I mean, this guy has a track record, Fish, that would, seemingly tell us that yes, he does need, a lot of counseling. I don't know how many chances you can give this guy. I definitely would like to see him get professional help. I don't know what kind of help he's getting, but yeah, he's so talented. The question is, maybe he'll get re-signed because of his talent, but he really needs some serious help, don't you think?
I'm not defending him. I mean, as a Raider fan, what he put the Raiders through in 2019, it's documented in Hard Knocks, and John's aware of that. I think he's a schmuck. But according to Josina Anderson on Twitter, used to be an ESPN reporter, and according to Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, there's 2 or 3 teams that are playoff bound right now. They're ready to sign him tomorrow because he's a great talent. It's not about it. And when you keep, you're right. When you keep, if a person keeps doing stuff and they don't get reprimanded and they don't know that it's the end, they're going to keep doing it. He knows. His agent's telling him, don't worry about it. Whatever you do.
That's too bad because
I'll give it to 3 teams.
Tom Brady
right now.
Tom Brady is a very compassionate guy, and he said he hoped that he gets the help he needs. He knows, and he's the one that was responsible for getting Antonio to play for the Bucs in the first place, right? So Tom Brady's right. The guy needs help, but because of his talent, it's all business. People are going to sign him and forget about all, his track record and all the pain he's caused to other people because he's so talented. So, I mean, it's not doing him any good. So we'll have to see down the road. Hopefully, he won't hurt anybody and himself. I mean, he's done a lot of damage in the last couple of years, but people are going to give him that chance because he's so good on the field.
And my wife, Terry, she's actually a pretty big fan of watching Dancing with the Stars. And when Antonio Brown was on that, she said he was nothing like that. And so I'm wondering if it's something really over the past maybe 2 or 3 years or so that could have caused something like that. So I don't know. You worry about head injuries and stuff like that too.
Right. That's true. I mean, head injuries in football, that's a huge problem. I've hosted a lot of head injury in sports forums. A good friend of mine is the CEO of the Head Injury Association, and we do celebrity sports forums every March, which is Head Injury Month, Awareness Month. And it is a serious issue. And a lot of our friends out there in the NFL, I'm sure a lot of them, Fish, are dealing with mental illness and, Alzheimer's and all kinds of diseases that come with, head injuries from football and other sports. So that is that's a huge issue.
We broke when we started our show last weekend. It just came across that John Madden passed away, and I'm the most dedicated Raider fan you're ever going to meet. I always brag about this. I've missed one game in 40 years, whether by radio, and this is an icon. And I found out you're going to come on the show, and you've had a chance to be with this man, and I've met him. I'm still reeling from it, and you saw the way the NFL played homage to him over the weekend. Please tell us you interviewed him. What kind of interview you had with him, and what did you take from it?
Well, I've done this sports interview show with legends in sports. It started way back when in 1989, and it aired for 17 seasons. So I interviewed everybody from Mickey Mantle to Ted Williams, Will Chamberlain, Hank Aaron, Sam Snead. I mean, you name it. I was in my 20s and 30s, and I was talking to these guys when they were older and looking back on their career. And in 2000, I caught up with the great John Madden, and we did some of the interview in the Madden Cruiser. As you know, he just hated to fly. So he had his bus driver, Willie, drive him around all over the country in this luxury cruise mobile. So I got a tour of that, and we sat down, and I was at a celebrity tournament in California as well. And the guy is just as fun-loving and jolly, and what you see is what you get with John Madden. I mean, he was just such a fun guy. But the interview, it's a 20, and you can see the interview on my website at annligori.com. But when I looked back and listened to it for the first time in many, many years after he passed, there are a couple parts that were very poignant. One, when I asked him about his career, if he ever missed, he was in the broadcasting booth, and had he ever missed coaching football. And he said, I only looked back one time. And it was when Jimmy Johnson was working with us at Fox. He said he'd left Dallas and had worked at Fox for a couple of years, and then went back and was going to coach Miami. And he said we were at a party in Dallas, and he was so excited about going back that he got me excited about it. He said, I got so excited and said, boy, I'd like to be doing what Jimmy is doing. And then, he told me I got really envious of Jimmy Johnson. And then he said, I remember walking back to my hotel, and I remember thinking, boy, I hope this feeling goes away overnight. And he said he woke up the next day and didn't have that feeling anymore. And he said it was that, he was glad he just had it for that one moment. But can you imagine, Jimmy Johnson was just so excited to go back to coaching. And for one evening, Madden was envious of Jimmy Johnson and thought, gosh, what am I missing? Maybe I should go back. And then he said, when he first retired, he wanted to spend a lot of time with his family. And he said, when you're a football coach, you're never home and you're pulled in all different kind of directions. And he said, when you're coaching, you have to win and you're tunnel vision. And he said, so once he stopped coaching, he went home for a while. And he said, but there was no family there. He said, they don't stay home waiting for you. He said, the kids have school, they have teams, they have places to go. He said, my wife was independent. So he said, I was sitting home, just me and my dog. And I thought, you know what? There has to be more to life than this, right? So he said he was sitting there and he got the call to do something. And he said, I didn't want to be a broadcaster. He said, actually, he turned them down 3 or 4 times when he first got offers from CBS. And he said to me, and I thought this was very interesting. He said to me, as a coach, he said, I didn't really respect what they did. He said, I was never television friendly or media friendly when I was coaching, so I did not want to do it. The first time I did it, I said, this is what I want to do. He just fell into it. He didn't want to do it. And then he told me he never watched himself on TV. He said, I was just always myself. So what am I going to do? Watch myself on TV, be myself, and criticize myself? It's what you see is what you get, right? So, I mean, he was just so funny, right? And so sincere, and I just loved it. And then, of course, we got into his golf game. And another really good story is he was a bad golfer, he admitted. He said linemen cannot be good golfers. And he goes into this whole spiel about why, linemen never swing easy at anything and you never keep your head down. Because if you ever want to get beat, you get your nose over your toes, you get your head down. And anytime you put your head down, you lose your power. And in golf, it's the opposite, right? So he was never a great golfer. But the one golfer that would beat him all the time was his good buddy, Don Shula. And he said Don Shula would take him out and they'd play. And Don would beat him every single time. And he said he was so upset because he said, I lost how to compete when he, got out of football coaching. And he said, Don Shula would ask me to play and I'd be like, I can beat this guy, but he'd always beat me. So one day he goes out and he plays Don Shula and he beats him by 1 shot. Wow. And he was so excited because actually he was upset that Don Shula wanted him to sign the scorecard, after he beat Madden. And Madden said, what do you want to do that? And he goes, so I can tell everybody I beat you. He goes, wait a second, this counts? So it was very competitive against those two. And he told me that the last time he ever played golf against Don Shula, he beat him, but he'd never give him a rematch.
And a quick addendum to John Madden. Phil Villapiano said to me, he goes, Madden never got over the Immaculate Reception to play with in 1972, the Franco Harris play. And when he went to pass the pearly gates, God walks up to him and says, welcome to heaven. And he says, that goddamn ball hit the ground and walked right by him.
I believe it. Anyway, one other story, and this interview it was a classic. It went for about 25 minutes, and but a couple years after that, Leslie Visser is a good friend of mine, and she was very good friends and worked with John Madden when they were at CBS Sports. And Leslie got John to lend a bunch of girls the Madden Cruiser one night. And we all met at the Dakota on the west side of Manhattan where John lived. And we had a little party at John's place. And then he gave us his bus, and we went on a pub crawl all the way up the east side of Manhattan.
Wow.
And, and then at the last bar restaurant, 21 women get out of the bus. And all these guys come out of the bar, and they see the Madden Cruiser, but they're waiting. They could care less that there are 21 women coming out of the bus. They wanted to see John Madden. John wasn't on the bus. So it was so funny.
And was it these girls? Was it these girls? Because they're under contract to John and I.
On the bus.
Wow. Way to go, Madden.
Exactly.
What a legacy you had, Coach.
Oh my God. We didn't quite look like that. But anyway. Yeah, no, that was fun. That was really sweet of John giving him the Madden Cruiser for the night. And, he was such a super guy, and he certainly will be missed. Really an original, right? One of a kind, and really changed football the way it was broadcast. It was just a pleasure to listen to him and watch him.
Yeah, I mean, he still had so much life in him. He still was interested in football. It's kind of interesting, too. Betty White died, and the outpouring for her was just amazing. And she was 99 years old, and they still regretted that she'd passed. Most people, 99, she lived a good life. No, people were really upset.
I mean, she was the ultimate trailblazer. What an amazing woman. I mean, just unbelievable, and just sweet and sincere and lovable to the very end, right? She worked almost to the very end. Unbelievable stamina and energy, and she just loved show business, right? They showed all kinds of clips of Betty White, and very similar personalities, right? She was just, so down to earth and just beautiful, just a beautiful person.
Yeah. Hey, talk about sports interview series, INNERVIU, the series. So you've got AnnLigori.com, but sportsinterview.com is also another site. What's the difference between that and AnnLigori.com?
Well, they're one and the same, actually. Well, I hosted and produced this show for years. It started way back when in 1989. Mickey Mantle was my first interview. And It aired for 17 years. We were on weekly all over the country on cable sports, the regional sports cable networks. And I could go on about every single legend I interviewed. I was in my 20s and 30s, and these guys, when I interviewed Mickey Mantle, he was my very first show. He was in his 60s. And looking back, they all wanted to tell their stories. Nobody charged me a cent to come on as my guest. They all really they were great storytellers. They all wanted to share their, anecdotes about their careers. Ted Williams, I sat down with Ted Williams, the legend, and his son, John Henry, in the late 90s when he was back in Boston for the All-Star game. As I say, all these interviews just have stories behind the stories. I mean, it's really, they're all just to be able to sit down with these guys and book them for the show. I don't know how I did it. I don't know. I just was relentless, in my 20s and 30s to book these guests and was lucky and never went through the agents because the agents would say no. Somehow got to meet them directly or friends of theirs who helped me get the interview. And the show aired for 17 years. And I maintain the rights to every single show. And you can watch about 60 of these shows are up now on my website at sportsinterview, INNERVIEW.com. So, if you're a history buff or a sports buff, I mean, they're classics, right? These guys are telling their own stories. So it was a pleasure to do. And I continued to do the sports interview radio show every week. But, there was nothing like sitting down with, Duke Snyder or, Bjorn Borg or Billie Jean King or, just Pete Rose. I mean, every one of these interviews was they were just all iconic names.
So what's great is you were the first woman to host a radio call-in show on WFAN in New York. That's the pinnacle of sports radio. And you dealt with all those crazy, no offense, look, my my mom's and dad are from New York. You had to deal with that fan base. I mean, how
All
did you
those
handle
crazy
that?
New Yorkers, right? I'm originally from a small town in Ohio, but I'm a New Yorker now, right? After being in New York, gosh, the day I graduated from college, I went to New York City and never left. WFAN, nobody thought it would work. Fish back. It started in 1987, the first all sports radio station. And I just thought, wow, why wouldn't it work? You have all these pro teams, all these college teams, the New York metropolitan area. Of course it's going to work. And gosh, but back then, if I had a penny for everybody who said, no way, all sports radio, now there's hundreds of these all sports radio stations all over the country, right? So not only are they working, they're thriving and making a lot of money for the owners. But what a thrill to be on FAN. And I still do a show called Talking Golf on Sunday mornings that airs between April and September. But I had a show called Hey Ligori, What's the Story? And it was once a week overnights. So I got some of the real interesting callers, Short Al from Brooklyn and Marion from Doris from Regal Park. I mean, the people who called my show were famous. They were regulars and they were written up in the Times, when they passed away. And I mean, I gave them a lot of time to talk because it was overnight and it was the weekend. And, I did have a lot of good guests on, but there is nothing like spending 5-6 hours every week talking to New Yorkers about sports, right? And, Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Islanders, Rangers, you name it. We talked about it. And that show aired for 25 years. And I was the first woman to host that a show on WFAN. The first Saturday the station started, my first guest, I knew I had to grab a really big star. And I got an exclusive interview with Doc Gooden.
Wow.
When he came out of Smithers. That was 1987. He was in drug rehab, right? After they won the World Series in 86. And I don't know how I snagged an interview with him. And he was my first guest. And yeah, it was pretty impactful back then. Wow. I remember making sure that Mike Lupica and all these other reporters wouldn't put their microphones in his face. So I not only had to get the exclusive interview with Doc, but I had to ask him to go into the Jets locker room to get him out of the Mets locker room so that all these other reporters wouldn't put their microphones in front of his face because I wanted it to be an exclusive interview. So you know what? And again, I just went up to him and I told him about WFAN, how it was going to start in about a week. And I'd like you to be my first guest. Would you mind would you mind taping an interview right now? And he looked at me and he said, sure, let's do it. Now, I didn't go up to Jay Horowitz, the PR director, because I would never have gotten the interview. He didn't give he wasn't giving the interview to anybody. But, and I can, Jay and I laugh about that now because it was so long ago. But, yeah, I mean, I just think, I went up to these guys directly and asked them, and they were polite enough to say yes.
We talked about the theme of this show is basically compassion and empathy. And if you were doing this now, could you imagine Ann Ligori doing a show in New York right now, having to deal with the Jets and the Giants fans? Giants have the worst offense in the history of the league, and the Jets blowing that game. I can only imagine Joey from Brooklyn calling, going, "Hey, Ann, what the hell's wrong with the Giants this weekend? I swear to God, I'm going to kill his mother. You know what?
Oh, my God. I know. Well, I mean,
oh, my God.
With the Jets, it's been the same story for like decades, right? So it's kind of like history repeating itself. But yeah, as soon as I tuned into that game kind of late, and I just knew they would find the Bucs would find with Tom Brady. I mean, he's a winner, right? And he just finds a way to make it happen. It's just unbelievable. I don't know if you like Tom Brady or not, but the guy to me is a champion. And I know, it's funny because I'm originally from Ohio. So here I was, a New York City sports talk show host. And I didn't grow up in New York, and I didn't grow up rooting for the Jets or the Giants, and that's almost sacrilegious there, right? I was from the Midwest, but they all told me I just had a level head and I was the voice of reason, and I'd let everybody talk. I wouldn't cut people off, and I'd give them a chance to talk, and voice their opinions. And then I always have my own opinions, but I let them talk, and I think they appreciated that. But yeah, I mean, some things never change. The Jets are one of them.
Yeah, I know. Real quick, Ann, where in Ohio?
So I grew up in a little town called Brecksville outside of Cleveland.
Okay, my wife's from Youngstown, so I know that area very well. That probably inbred you with the sports because you know how popular football is in Ohio. It's a religion there. So,
yeah,
and you know, I'm like the movie. You ever see the movie Diner that Steve Gutenberg had to give his wife a quiz in order to marry about the Colts? That's me and my wife because of football.
I love it.
And just the love of sports that Ohioans have. You said a small town in Ohio, and you know Youngstown, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, you know, they're so loyal in Cleveland. Browns fans. I mean, I interviewed Jim Brown a number of years ago, and boy, that guy is intense. Do you know Jim? I mean, he's so controversial and just unbelievable interview. I always like talking to Jim Brown, but yeah, as far as Cleveland being a sports town, they're loyal, they know their sports, and it was a great place to grow up. And as an athlete, I mean, I was, you know, I had an older brother who was very athletic, so everything he did, I kind of had to do. And you know, they had great sports programs in Cleveland. I don't know if your wife is an athlete, Fish, but and how the programs were in Youngstown, but in Brecksville, we had, you know, all kinds of sports at a time when there weren't a lot of sports. Actually, we didn't have a girls tennis team, so I played on the guys team, but we did have, you know, volleyball, basketball, track. I mean, you know, I earned like 16 letters in high school. We had great sports programs. So it's a great place to grow up. I really enjoyed it.
And we got about 5 minutes left here, but I want to hit you with a couple of things. First of all, you've covered an awful lot of the majors in golf. Do you think Tiger is going to be coming back? And if he does come back, do you think he can compete?
You know, it's interesting. Tiger was amazing playing with his son, Charlie. Did you watch that? The PNC Championship? They came in second.
Yeah.
And, you know, John Daly and John Jr., John Daly's son, won. But, I mean, Tiger almost won that. And this was like just a week after he was saying, you know, I'm never going to really play full time again on the PGA Tour because of, you know, the injuries. But, you know, I think he'll come back and play the Masters. He kept saying, I'm nowhere near where I need to be to compete with the guys on tour. And I know this PNC Championship was a scramble and it was not, you know, as challenging as playing 4 straight days. And he got to use a cart, you know, with his father-son tournament. But I think he'll come back and he'll come back and play limited tournaments. He will never play full time on the PGA Tour again. But, you know, even toward the last couple years, he was picking and choosing. He didn't have a huge schedule because of all the back injuries and surgeries. So, yeah, I think he'll pick and choose. I think he'll definitely, you know, look, he won the Masters a couple years ago. I'm not saying he's going to win another major, but I think he'll come and play the Masters. If he can walk 4 straight days, he'll play Augusta National. He'll play the Masters. So I don't know if he'll win another major, but I think he'll be able to come back and we'll see him in some of the big major championships.
I think that is the key right there. Can he walk it? I don't know that he can walk Augusta. Augusta, if you haven't played Augusta, I know you've been out there. It's hilly. I mean, you've really got to have legs to walk Augusta.
Oh, yeah. You need stamina. I mean, the TV doesn't do it justice. People who actually go and walk Augusta National just are so shocked at how much elevation there is out there. But it takes a lot of stamina, and he has to really be strong physically. Mentally, he has it. He'll never lose it. But physically, he just has to have all the components of his game working. And he knows that course like the back of his hand, John. I really think that he'll play it, and I think he'll do well.
Interesting. All right, real quick, last piece we want to hit you with. You were up at Whistling Straits for the Ryder Cup. Is this the turnaround where for the next decade, America controls Europe like Europe did for the last decade?
Absolutely. You got this young, very energetic team, and they all can get along, at least, while they're playing as the U.S. team with the Ryder Cup. And yeah, I just think they played lights out, and I just think the momentum has finally shifted, and I think they're going to be able to, win many, many more Ryder Cups.
All right. We've been talking to Ann Ligori, trailblazing sports radio and TV talk show host. You can see her and hear her on WFAN Sports Radio out of New York and also on the Golf Channel. Catch her series of interviews called Sports Interview on Sports Interview, not Interview, Sports Inner, INNERVIEU, sorry about that, .com. And you can check out everything Ann at AnnLigori.com. And Ligori is spelled Liguri. Did I get that right?
Absolutely. Great
Perfect.
to be with you guys. So much fun.
And we got to have you back on again.
I love your photographs, Fish.
What's that?
I said I love the photographs.
Oh, thank you.
So we definitely got to have you on again.
I'm so glad you could provide those girls on the Madden bus that like I said, we own that lingerie football team. Didn't know that you had a piece of that with the Madden bus. That's phenomenal.
I'm telling you, did you like the
world, man?
wardrobe?
You Ohio people. I married one. You're from there. It's a weird symmetry. I swear to God.
Yep.
Go Buckeyes.
And my wife Terry's from Ohio too. She's right from the Cleveland area as well.
Oh, so tell Terry I said, hey, give her my love.
I definitely will. And we're going to have you on again. Ann, thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. Continued success. Love the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you.
Great to meet you, Fish.
I was a big fan. Bye.
Thank you. All right, coming up, Fish and I are going to wrap things up, give you a sneak peek at next week. As next week we go a little Broadway. How about that? All right, you need a great golf getaway. The Myrtle Beach Golf Trail has dozens of courses along the Carolina coast. Set up an entire trip for yourself, your family, or a bunch of friends. The site is myrtlebeachgolftrail.com. You can play there year-round. Even though I said it's cold here, you can still play here because it's going to start getting warmer. All right, before we go, Fish, let's tease next week. We have Broadway star Liz Calloway joining us. She's still performing. You may remember her from the original Broadway production of Cats, believe it or not, way back then. But she is a huge New York Mets fan, and we're going to make fun of her. We're going to definitely make fun of her. We're going to have some fun with her. She's great, and you'll definitely enjoy talking to her, that's for sure. She's got great insights on what's going on with the Mets. Plus, I guess we should let folks know, because next week we're going to start doing this, right? We're going to start going at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a lot of our East Coast fan base. I get the comments and the requests all the time. Can you go a little earlier? We want to eat dinner with you. We have watch parties, and the West Coast is the West Coast. People are watching, but they usually tape us and they watch it afterwards. So we're going to try something different. It'll be 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock in the East.
Yep. And just if you can, let us know what you think about it. And if you had any ideas for the show, always let us know. I got to tell you, Fish, that was we've been knocking it out of the ballpark because we've been having great guests. Ann was superb. Were there any stories there about Madden that you hadn't heard?
No, you look, every time you talk to someone about John Madden, or you interview someone, or you hear their stories, it's about how he handled people. Every player says you talk to them, he knew how to push the buttons on all 53 guys, and just show what a wonderful person he was. I'm more concerned with this. Right now, we're getting a lot of comments. They're casting the movie for us, so we need people to chime in. Which one of these guys, 1 through 5, would play John better? The guy in the middle is 3. The guy in the far left, if you're looking, is 1. Okay, so let's get that, and then we'll put it on next week to see who's going to play John. And on this one, anyone will do.
There's like 9 of them. There's 9 of them that want to be you.
Yeah, I know. What could I say? I could take any one of those guys, but no. Ann Ligori was great enthusiasm. I did not know she's from Ohio, which provides a good stock. We married Ohio girls, and they love their sports. It's great that you and I could enjoy watching. On a serious note, we watch football with their wives, and they know what a skinny blitz or a Tampa 2 coverage is, right? So it's true. Yep. No, again, knocked out of the ballpark. She's great energy, and look at the people. Pete Rose, what you said, Ted Williams. Come on, and Mickey Mantle.
We didn't get a chance to talk to her about that, so we got to have her on again.
We'll have her on again. John, she interviewed Mickey Mantle. You talked to many New Yorkers, and that is, again, if she worked at WFAN, that's the pinnacle of baseball for New Yorkers. It's DiMaggio, Ruth, Mantle. I'm not that old. I could be Ruth, but you know what I'm talking about. You're a big baseball guru, so you know how much Mickey Mantle meant to the league and the people, especially from New York.
Absolutely. All right. Remember, Daily Fish is live from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. Next week, it'll be 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You can catch us on Facebook at daily.fish.5, DBNA Television on Roku, Amazon Fire, soon Apple TV, the DBNA Television Network at dbnatelevision.com. And you can get us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe there, right to dailyfish1 at gmail.com. Facebook, daily.fish.5. And then just stay in touch with us. And Fish, I got to tell you, my Friars are on. They're 16th in the country now. So we're going to talk about that maybe next week if they stay in the top 25.
Go Friars.
I'm going to be watching it. All right, buddy. Hey, have a great week. Love you.